Have you ever wondered why some people always seem to get inside your head? They know exactly what to say to make you feel guilty, angry, afraid, or desperate. They push your emotional buttons until you react, and the moment you react, they gain control over you. This is one of the oldest forms of power. It does not require strength or money. It only requires that you lose control of your emotions. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He believed that the person who controls emotions often controls the outcome. But there is one type of person who is almost impossible to manipulate. It is not the loudest person. It is not the richest. It is the person who has become mentally dangerous. Dangerous does not mean violent. It means disciplined. It means calm under pressure. It means impossible to provoke. When people realize they cannot predict your reactions or use your feelings against you, they begin to respect you, fear you, or leave you alone. In this video, you will discover 5 powerful Machiavellian lessons that will help you become emotionally untouchable. You will learn why emotional control is the greatest weapon you can develop, why silence often speaks louder than words, and why the strongest people never allow others to decide how they feel. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may completely change the way you deal with manipulation forever. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. You will not see us again. The easiest way for someone to control you is not through force. It is through your emotions. The moment someone can make you angry, afraid, jealous, or desperate, they have already taken away your power. Most people never realize this. They think winning an argument means shouting louder. They believe defending themselves against every insult makes them look strong. In reality, every emotional reaction gives away information. It tells people exactly where your weaknesses are. Once they discover those weak points, they know exactly how to push your buttons again and again. This is why Machiavelli believed that the greatest victories are won long before the battle begins. If your enemy can control your emotions, the battle is already over. Think about the people who always stay calm under pressure. They rarely explain themselves. They are not rushed into making decisions. They never allow insults to dictate their actions. Others may mistake this calmness for weakness, but it is actually one of the highest forms of strength. A person who cannot be emotionally shaken is extremely difficult to manipulate. Imagine someone trying to provoke you with criticism. They expect you to become defensive. Instead, you simply smile and continue with your day. Suddenly, they lose their advantage. They wanted a reaction, but you gave them nothing. The game ends because you refuse to play. That is what it means to become dangerous. Not dangerous because you threaten people, but because your self-control removes their ability to influence you. Emotional discipline forces others to rethink their strategy. They cannot predict you. They cannot pressure you. They cannot use guilt, fear, or anger as weapons against you. This is why successful leaders, skilled negotiators, and powerful individuals spend years mastering themselves before trying to influence others. They understand that self-control creates real authority. The person who controls himself can often control the situation. The person who cannot control himself becomes controlled by everyone else. This lesson also applies to everyday life. In relationships, emotional reactions can lead to regret. At work, one angry outburst can destroy years of trust. In business, acting out of fear often leads to poor decisions. Every time you react without thinking, you hand someone else the steering wheel of your life. The strongest response is often no response at all. Pause before speaking. Breathe before acting. Think before replying. Give yourself time to decide whether the situation deserves your attention. Most conflicts disappear when they fail to get the reaction they were seeking. Remember this powerful truth. People cannot emotionally control someone who refuses to surrender control of his own mind. The more disciplined your emotions become, the less influence other people have over your life. Your greatest weapon is not your words, your money, or your status. It is your ability to remain calm when everyone else expects you to break. One of the greatest mistakes a man can make is allowing everyone to predict his next move. When people know exactly how you will react, what you will say, and what you will tolerate, They no longer respect your strength. Instead, they begin to treat you like a machine. They know which compliments will make you lower your guard, which insults will make you lose your temper, and which emotional games will force you to chase their approval. Machiavelli understood that predictability creates vulnerability. A man who is easy to read is easy to manipulate. That is why truly powerful men never reveal everything they think or feel. They do not lie about who they are, but they understand that mystery is a form of protection. Imagine playing a game of chess against someone who announces every move before making it. You would have no difficulty defeating them because you could prepare for everything in advance. Life works the same way. If people always know your intentions, they can position themselves to take advantage of you. This is especially true in relationships, friendships, and the workplace. Some people pay close attention to your habits, your emotions, and your routines. They are not doing this because they admire you. They are collecting information that can later be used to influence your decisions. A dangerous man understands this. He speaks carefully. He listens more than he talks. He does not reveal every dream, every plan, or every frustration to people who have not earned his trust. This does not mean becoming cold or antisocial. It means becoming selective. There is a difference between being honest and exposing your entire mind to everyone around you. The more people know about your emotional triggers, the easier it becomes for them to control you. Think about the man who always chases after every disagreement. Everyone knows he cannot walk away from conflict. They use that against him. Compare him to the man who chooses his battles wisely. Sometimes he responds. Sometimes he remains silent. Sometimes he leaves without explanation. His behavior is guided by purpose, not emotion. Because people cannot predict him, they hesitate before testing him. This hesitation creates respect. It also protects his peace. Many men believe they must constantly explain themselves to be understood. In reality, constant explanations often weaken your position. When you feel the need to justify every decision, you silently give others permission to judge your life. A confident man knows that not everyone deserves an explanation. He lets his actions speak louder than his words. He allows results to answer questions that arguments never could. Becoming unpredictable is not about playing games. It is about refusing to become emotionally programmed by other people's expectations. Stay calm when they expect anger. Stay patient when they expect panic. Stay focused when they expect distraction. The less predictable your emotional responses become, the less power others have over your mind. In the end, people can only manipulate the version of you they believe they understand. When you master your emotions, guard your intentions, and move with quiet confidence, you become a man who cannot be easily controlled, because no one can accurately predict what you will do next. The moment your happiness depends on someone else's approval, you surrender a part of your freedom. This is one of the most common traps men fall into without realizing it. Many spend years trying to impress people who will never truly respect them. They work harder than necessary to be liked. They change their opinions to avoid criticism, and they sacrifice their own values just to fit in. At first, this seems harmless. You think you are being polite or cooperative. But over time, the habit becomes dangerous because your decisions are no longer guided by your principles. They are guided by the fear of rejection. Machiavelli understood that a man who constantly seeks approval becomes easy to influence. Anyone who controls praise also controls punishment. If someone knows you crave validation, they can reward you with compliments when you obey, and withdraw their approval when you do not. Before long, you are living according to someone else's expectations instead of your own. A dangerous man refuses to live this way. He understands that respect is earned through character, not through endless attempts to please everyone. This does not mean becoming arrogant or treating people poorly. It means accepting that not everyone will agree with you, admire you, or support your choices, and that is perfectly fine. Think about the strongest leaders in history. They were often criticized, misunderstood, and even hated before they were respected. If they had changed direction every time someone disapproved of them, they would never have accomplished anything meaningful. The same principle applies to everyday life. In relationships, a man who constantly seeks approval becomes anxious and needy. He overthinks every message, every conversation, and every disagreement because he fears losing acceptance. Ironically, this behavior often pushes people away. Confidence attracts respect because it shows emotional independence. At work, the employee who always says yes to avoid disappointing others is often given more responsibilities without receiving more respect. People begin to expect endless compliance because they know he is afraid to disappoint them. The man who politely sets boundaries and stands by his decisions is treated differently because he demonstrates self-respect. Approval should never become your source of identity. Your identity should come from your values, your discipline, and your actions. Ask yourself a simple question before making any important decision. Am I doing this because it is right, or because I want someone to approve of me? That one question can reveal whether you are acting from strength or insecurity. The more comfortable you become with standing alone, the harder it becomes for anyone to manipulate you. Criticism no longer destroys your confidence. Praise no longer controls your behavior. You appreciate both, but you are owned by neither. This is the quiet confidence that separates powerful men from those who are constantly chasing validation. When your self-worth comes from within, people lose one of their most effective tools of manipulation. They cannot control a man who has already accepted himself. The less you need approval from others, the more authority you gain over your own life. And that inner freedom is one of the most dangerous forms of power a man can possess. Most men believe power comes from speaking first, defending themselves immediately, or proving they are right in every situation. But Machiavelli understood a deeper truth. The man who controls his tongue often controls the entire conversation. Silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a weapon that very few people know how to use. In today's world, people rush to explain themselves, react to every criticism, and answer every insult the moment it appears. They believe that remaining silent means they have lost. In reality, unnecessary words often create unnecessary problems. Every sentence you speak reveals information about your emotions, your intentions, and your weaknesses. A patient man understands that information is valuable. He gives away very little while learning as much as possible about everyone around him. Think about the person who constantly argues online, responds to every rumor, and feels the need to win every debate. He spends his energy trying to convince people who have already made up their minds. Meanwhile, the man who remains calm and speaks only when necessary preserves his energy for battles that actually matter. Silence creates uncertainty. It forces other people to wonder what you are thinking. It often makes them reveal more than they intended, because they become uncomfortable with the quiet. This is one reason experienced negotiators and skilled leaders know how to pause before answering difficult questions. They understand that silence creates pressure without saying a single word. Patience works the same way. Emotional people want immediate results. They want revenge today, success tomorrow, and recognition as quickly as possible. Because they cannot wait, they make impulsive decisions that damage their future. A dangerous man understands that timing is everything. He knows that the right move made at the wrong time can still become a mistake. Instead of reacting to every challenge, he waits until the situation is clear. He studies people before trusting them. He observes patterns before making judgments. He allows others to expose themselves through their own actions. This patience protects him from manipulation because he refuses to let urgency control his decisions. In relationships, silence can prevent arguments from becoming permanent damage. Instead of responding with anger, a disciplined man gives himself time to think before speaking. At work, patience helps him avoid emotional decisions that could harm his reputation. In business, waiting for the right opportunity often produces better results than chasing every opportunity that appears. Silence and patience are not about doing nothing. They are about acting with purpose instead of emotion. The strongest men understand that not every insult deserves a reply, not every challenge deserves a fight, and not every opinion deserves their attention. They save their words for moments that truly matter. As a result, when they finally speak, people listen because their words carry weight. Remember this whenever someone tries to provoke you. Your first reaction is not always your best response. Sometimes your greatest display of strength is the decision to remain silent, observe carefully, and let time expose the truth. A man who has mastered silence and patience becomes extremely difficult to manipulate because he never allows other people's emotions to determine his actions. He chooses his own timing, and that is where his true power begins. Real power is not measured by how many people you can intimidate. It is measured by how rarely people feel the need to challenge you in the first place. Machiavelli understood that reputation often wins battles before they even begin. A man who carries himself with confidence, discipline, and self-respect creates a presence that naturally discourages manipulation. He does not need to announce his strength. He demonstrates it through consistent actions. Many men make the mistake of believing that looking dangerous means acting aggressively. They speak loudly, argue constantly, and try to dominate every room they enter. In reality, this behavior often reveals insecurity instead of strength. Truly confident men have nothing to prove. They do not seek attention because they know their value does not depend on being noticed. They walk with purpose, speak with intention, and remain calm even when others are trying to provoke them. This quiet confidence makes people hesitate before crossing their boundaries. One of the most important parts of building a strong presence is keeping your word. Every promise you make becomes part of your reputation. If you say you will do something, do it. If you establish a boundary, enforce it. If you decide to walk away from disrespect, do not return simply because someone offers empty apologies without changing their behavior. Consistency teaches people how to treat you. The moment they realize your standards are real, they become far less likely to test them. Another part of a powerful presence is emotional stability. Imagine two men facing the same problem. One immediately panics, complains, and blames everyone around him. The other stays calm, studies the situation, and searches for a solution. Which one would you trust? Which one would you follow? Most people naturally respect the man who remains steady during difficult moments, because emotional control inspires confidence. This does not mean pretending you never experience fear or frustration. It means refusing to let those emotions control your behavior. Your presence is also shaped by the company you keep. If you constantly surround yourself with negative, dishonest, or disrespectful people, their habits will slowly influence your own. Strong men choose relationships that support growth, discipline, and integrity. They understand that every friendship, partnership, and relationship either strengthens their character or weakens it. Building a powerful presence also requires continuous self-improvement. Read books that challenge your thinking. Develop useful skills. Take care of your health. Improve your communication. Strengthen your discipline every day. The more capable you become, the less you need to convince anyone of your worth. Your results will speak louder than your words ever could. Over time, people begin to notice something different about you. They realize you cannot be pressured into making emotional decisions. They see that you do not chase approval, tolerate disrespect, or react to every provocation. That reputation becomes your shield. It protects your peace because people understand there are easier targets than a man who respects himself. In the end, becoming dangerous is not about making others fear you. It is about becoming so mentally disciplined, emotionally controlled, and confident in your values that no one can use your emotions as a weapon against you. When you build that kind of presence, emotional manipulation loses its power, and you become the one who decides the direction of your own life. The greatest victory in life is not defeating other people. It is mastering yourself. When you control your emotions, guard your intentions, reject the need for approval, embrace silence, and build an unshakable presence, You become a man who is extremely difficult to manipulate. This is the kind of strength Machiavelli admired, not reckless aggression, but disciplined self-control. Remember, the world will always test your patience, your confidence, and your character. The question is whether you will react or remain in command. If you choose discipline over emotion, no one will be able to control your mind, your decisions, or your future.